1. The mask of confidence. Listen up, folks. Let me drop some truth on you right now. Picture this. A man struts into a room, loud, brash, chest puffed up with pride, thinking that's confidence. Nah, that's a lie. Real strength, it doesn't need to shout. It moves in silence, acts with humility, and loves without a shred of fear. But take a guy drowning in ego, obsessed with power, addicted to control. Brother, I'll show you a man running scared. Not from the world, no. He's running from himself. That's the raw, ugly truth behind narcissistic masculinity. It's not about ruling others, it's a desperate defense mechanism. 2. The fear beneath the facade. Hold on, it gets deeper. This defense, it's against shame, confusion, the bone-chilling terror of not knowing who he really is. These men, they talk down to women because they're terrified of their own tenderness. They chase applause like it's oxygen because rejection haunts them. They mimic some macho image because they've never dared to meet the real them. Some wage a war inside, not because they're gay or straight, but because they lack the guts to be honest. Honesty, my friends, that's true masculinity. Vulnerability, that's the real courage that shakes the soul. 3. The mirror of truth. Think about it. A man who can't face the mirror and tell himself the truth. He ain't strong, he's trapped. This isn't about sexuality, it's about identity, about truth, about healing. If you spot a guy trying way too hard to be something, trust me, he's hiding everything. Brothers, it's time to ditch the act. Put down that mask, step out of the shadows, and walk like a man, a real one. Not perfect, not proud, but authentic, raw and human. Narcissistic personality disorder? It's a tangled mess, often misunderstood, way beyond just arrogance. 4. The fragile ego unveiled. Let's peel back the layers. NPD isn't about confidence. It's a fragile self-esteem buried under grandiosity, entitlement, and emotional armor. Those hyper-masculine men you see, strutting like kings. They're not proud or powerful deep down. Many are masking a gaping hole of inadequacy, an emptiness carved out from childhood. Emotional neglect, inconsistent validation, or praise tied only to achievements, it all starts there. A boy told love depends on being the best, never crying, always strong. He learns his worth is a performance, not his soul. 5. The birth of the mask. Imagine that boy growing up, praised for trophies, not his heart. He builds a version of himself to survive, not connect. That's where the narcissistic mask takes root. As a man, he hides his vulnerability behind a wall of self-importance. He boasts, demands attention, cuts others down to feel big. But it's hollow. Inside, he doesn't believe he's enough. That's why criticism stings like a dagger. Every slight threatens to crack the facade, exposing his fear that he's unlovable. 6. The hunger for validation. Here's the kicker. Narcissists crave external validation like air. They seek admiration, not bonds. They dominate talks to keep the spotlight, avoid intimacy because vulnerability feels like a death sentence. For these men, especially those clinging to macho ideals, strength, success, conquests, it's all armor. Beneath it, a scared boy who never felt seen, never felt safe to just be. They boast, manipulate, charm. But it's not self-love. It's a frantic performance to drown out the pain. 7. The shield of bravado. Here's the twist. They seem confident, even charismatic. But it's a fragile act. Their bravado's a shield, not peace. They're chasing a stable self they can't find, something that doesn't need applause or control. Until they face the wounds under that mask, they're stuck in a loop of seeking and fearing exposure. That hyper-masculine swagger, it's a defense, not identity. A curated show of dominance to hide insecurity. 8. The roots of repression dig into their past. Boys are taught to ditch softness, sensitivity, tears. Real manhood means toughness, control. Vulnerability, mocked, affection, rationed, success. Measured in conquests. For a kid feeling fear or doubt, like all kids do, this messaging cuts deep. Told emotions make him weak, he buries them. That suppression doesn't vanish, it morphs into armor. Hypermasculinity becomes the mask, keeping others at a safe distance. 9. The cycle of avoidance. That armor, dominance, bravado isn't strength, it's avoidance. Not always conscious, it's a defense mechanism called overcompensation. A man feeling powerless obsesses over control. One unsure of his manhood flaunts conquests or bashes women, not from superiority, but to prove something. His relationships, not intimacy, but validation and dominance. It's a survival tactic, not love. 10. The war on softness. Check this. They scorn traits like empathy or softness, not because they hate women, but because they fear those parts in themselves. Buried under pride, they attack them in others to stay safe. It's projection, dismissing emotional openness as weak to dodge their own repressed truth. Rigid gender roles leave no room for authenticity, trapping them in a cycle of proving manhood while losing themselves. 11. The prison of performance. That confident, detached persona, it's the opposite of how they feel. They cling to it for safety, keeping fear at bay. Projection, blaming others for their flaws, is their shield. They externalize shame, avoiding self-awareness. This trap blocks growth, locking them in denial and emotional chaos. 12. The mirror of projection. Projection's their game, shoving unacceptable feelings onto others. Fear, inadequacy, suppressed desires. They can't face them, so they accuse others, mocking weakness or shaming vulnerability. It's deflecting their own insecurities, not calculated, it's a desperate, unconscious defense driven by terror. 13. The fearful facade. Those walls of projection hide their insecurities, even from themselves. But they never silence the truth, obsessing over other men's power or status. It's not rivalry, it's a displaced fixation, revealing inner conflict and envy. They scan the hierarchy, fixating on what they lack, turning admiration into resentment. 14. The longing beneath this fixation, copying styles, comparing bodies, masks a longing to embody what they admire. Not always sexual, it's an emotional pull they can't admit. Societal pressure stifles vulnerability, turning envy into mockery. It's a quiet obsession, reflecting a fractured identity they can't face. 15. The rejection of self-hostility to femininity, sensitivity, openness, stems from fear, not strength. Taught it's weak, they split their identity, the macho mask versus buried softness, mocking women or emotional men. It's rejecting their own repressed pain, empathy, connection, hurt they can't process. 16. The cycle of control. They seek power over emotions, viewing love or empathy as threats. Opening up risks their facade, so they wall off softness, clinging to control. This imbalance hollows them, driving failed relationships and blame, especially toward women, for their unrest. 17. The path to healing. Here's the heart. They need the traits they reject, empathy, openness, to heal. But trapped in superiority, they fight their mirror, blind to the parts they've fled. Relationships become validation hunts, not love, cycling through partners to avoid truth. 18. The war within. This isn't just behavior, it's an inner war. Anger, validation hunger, image obsession. It's terror of exposure, vulnerability, truth. Rejecting their emotional self, they mirror what they deny. Real strength, self-awareness, wholeness. Until they face it, they're prisoners, blaming others for their internal storm.